Tour de France. So he's already had a stage victory in that race as well this year. So Van den Broek de France already with 3. Was in the development team of DSM Firmenich now, but he's come straight out of the development team. Cavendish at 7:39 now. 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Not getting any time for 2.5 kilometers. My big worry for Mark Cavendish is not this climb coming up, but the climb after it. That 10.5 kilometer climb. And Nico, on that 10.5 kilometer climb, he could lose minutes.
He could easily lose another 3 minutes.
Particularly with the likes of EFH, he's very good at attacking on his own, going away, winning races. And maybe that's the plan, that he's got a point on this course where he wants to be near the front group and he wants to go away.
I think his plan is also making sure that the riders are isolated and don't have any teammates, so making their day hard all day. We also know some of these riders like Betchel, who are great on the one-day races like a classic. They prefer when the race is on all day. That's their bread and butter. Sometimes they don't have this explosivity of going on the last climb. They can just go all day long, and this is what makes these classic riders so special.
On to the second climb of today's stage, Côte de Fourche. Our 8-rider breakaway make it onto that particular climb. We saw where we were on the course just as we made that left-hand turn. We saw the vital statistics of the climb. It's a 2.5 kilometer climb, a little bit steeper on average. 6.2% its average gradient today. Making its way up over the top. The current virtual king of the mountains is Jon Izagirre. He has secured the 5 points at the top of the first climb of the day. Onto the Côte de Fourche, he can secure 2 points on this climb. It's a third category climb. Izagirre, winner of the Tour of the Basque Country, twice a stage winner in the Tour de France as well. He won a stage in 2016 and 2023. He's also won the Tour of Poland. He's won a stage in the Giro d'Italia. So an important moment for Izagirre now to try and secure some more points at the top of this climb.
Yes, definitely. Izagirre, one of the riders with, probably one of the riders with the most experience in that peloton. He was leader, he's been helper as well in some teams. He's won some very important races. And a great breakaway specialist. But as you mentioned, I think he definitely wants to be in that polka dot jersey tonight.
He's one of the club riders who's won in the Vuelta, the Giro, and the Tour de France. He's got stages in all 3, hasn't he?
He has. Exclusive club. Still rolling down. And the roads always slightly winding. It'd be a very different scenery when we get closer to Rimini. The last 15 kilometers on almost a dual carriageway freeway, all flat, all the way down to the seafront.
Yeah, now we're in that tree-lined, beautiful countryside. But as we get down towards the seaside, it is going to change, isn't it? A lot.
Totally flat around here, all this part of Italy. But then you go 20k in and you're in the same climbs again.
As we get closer to the sea as well, it's going to get warmer. It's going to get more intense, the heat. Going to feel the humidity. These riders don't look like they're under much stress right now. There's not pouring sweat off. We just got indication there that we are 10 kilometers from Izagirre out the saddle. He tends to ride like that on the climbs. On the right-hand side. Looks across just to see where the top of this climb is. The rider's starting to use these little bit more flared bars again. Something coming from gravel racing.
Actually, because the top have been narrowed. So it means that they could probably have a 38 on top and a 40 at the bottom. So they're actually still very narrow, but they look flared. Just to have that stability in the sprint.
Now we get 4 kilometers from the intermediate sprint.
So, for example, if today was considered to be a coefficient 1, we would have had 50 points for the win. But today, because it's considered a medium mountain, it's coefficient 3, and there's only 30 points on the finish line.
Average speed of today's stage, 40.9 kilometers an hour. So still a hard stage so far. The next climb of the day has got some pretty evil sections in it. The bottom of the climb, 9 for around about a kilometre. It's not easy at all. Climb number 3. Some of the sprinters are suffering out the back. Cavendish is the furthest behind. Izagirre now. We don't have confirmation of that King of the Mountains. I don't think I've seen it on the screen yet. Izagirre goes back to the team car just to have a little conversation. Just making sure that he refuels. A little bit of ice down the back just to keep the core temperature nice and cool. This to the top of the second climb of the day. He's not ascent, and the road to the bottom of that climb helped with his recovery at all, Nico.
Not at all, but he's only, I was going to say,
can find something within him to just endure and to come through the next climb without losing a massive amount of time. But it really does depend on how hard they go up over the third category climb that's about to happen. Cavendish reaches the top of the climb of the day, and the deficit is 5 minutes and 17 seconds. He's lost another 2 minutes from the first climb of the day.
But he still has potentially about 32 minutes to spare. So I think at this point, it's looking bad, but it's not looking absolutely dramatic. He's lost 8 minutes in the first 80. You could think that he'd probably finish around 30 minutes down and have about 10, 15 minutes to spare if he keeps this pace. What's important for Mark Cavendish now is not to completely crack.
That was the Villa de Teodorico, the remains of a large villa dating from the reign of the Theodoric in Italy from the 5th to 6th century AD. The villa is underneath that canopy. It was built by Theodoric, king of the Ostrogoths, on the presumed remains of a Roman villa. The site was first excavated by the German Archaeological Institute and then resumed in 1998. There's a bit of a split. Jan Hirt on the right-hand side is looking to try and kill some points.
Bramson's just going for everything today.
Well, we go back to when that team was in a little bit of disarray earlier on when they were chasing. He got himself to the front group. That then took... He's doing a really good job.
Definitely committing.
You know, ex-mobility. A few changes. They've brought in Thor Hushoff as their general manager now, haven't they?
Have. And he's been quite dynamic. He's been at a lot of the races now since the start of the year.
Thor Hushoff extremely...
9,395 attempts. we've been given this incredibly detailed road book with Strava. Not that I've been looking at Strava all morning to see. We did do it last year, but this year the Tour de France had a great idea of giving us climb by climb the top Strava and also a little bit of history behind it.
Here comes the sprint of the peloton. It was the team of Giselle Lemon trying to out their riders. Lidl now for the line, but Philipsen wants to show that he's the boss in the sprints. Philipsen takes ahead of Pedersen, Bennett, Cox.
Means that Michael Matthews isn't.
He's sitting right at the back, not interested at all.
Mate, getting the last few points.
Interested, so is Bennett. Bennett's won the green jersey before. And through this race.
He does, and then finishes in 4th or 5th position in the green jersey, but at least he tries and he goes for it, he commits. They are on the climb now.
On to the 3rd climb of the day. Here's our breakaway group of riders. On the back is Frank van den Broek.
Tom's still quite stretched out.
Through Santa Sofia, onto the climb. Is 10 points.
Yeah, knows we're not going to Paris this year because they had the Eiffel Tower there.
They did. But there's an Eiffel Tower in Rimini.
Oh, is he?
There is, just down the road from our hotel. Matthew Morich. Philipsen and Bennett just about to be reeled in by the peloton, having gone for those sprint points. And of course, throughout the next couple of days, I'm sure we're going to see those sort of images. Marco Pantani.
I've already seen on social media the climb of tomorrow has his name all over it. The Santa Mira climb.
8:39, Cavendish is behind. Our breakaway group, if you've just joined us, remains the same. Nothing too much has changed there. Bahrain. It's on the farm FDJ. Jonas Aguirre, who is searching for King of the Mountains points. Clement Champoussin of the team of Arkea B&B Hotels. Frank van den Broek of DSM Firmenich Post NL. Jonas Abrams of Avuno X Mobility. And Sandy Dujardin of the team of Total Energy. Clement Champoussin. He's still not showing the big victories, but he seems to get close to some big wins.
Yeah, close, but not close enough. He posted just after the French Championship saying, well, first 6 months of 2024 saying an X and saying, please, can I put a tick on the box for the second part? So I think he's worked hard and he's looking for, we just see another rider now being distanced.
Dujardin is suffering.
Yes, it is.
He's suddenly cracked.
It's been a long, long day already in that heat. Just pushing up the front, and the pace hasn't slowed down.
Champoussin did win a stage of La Vuelta, but that was back in 2021. Total Energy's assault on this stage, having had 2 riders in the breakaway, is crumbling and crumbling quickly. So Virtue's gone back. Now Dujardin is going to go back to the peloton. We're hearing a lot of riders in trouble. Izagirre now decides to turn the pressure on. Frank van den Broek behind him, then Ryan Gibbons, then Madouas, then Abramson and Champoussin. Haven't seen Champoussin do an awful lot of work today. He looks like he's being either clever or he's in trouble.
I think he's suffering. You can see the grimace on him. Norwich is looking good. Everyone's really focused there. It's not much communication in that group. Just everyone's just doing their thing, looking at their numbers.
Morich on the front now, winner of Milano San Remo, 3 times a stage winner of the Tour, stage winner in La Vuelta, a stage winner in the Giro d'Italia, and another sprinter is now in trouble, and that is Dylan Groenewegen. He goes out the back. He's got one rider with him. That's Elmar Reinders. And Cavendish now makes his way to the intermediate sprint.
5 minutes 30 down.
Is he starting to look? This team have got a horrible day ahead. 8.1 kilometers to the top of the climb for the breakaway group of riders. Is Cavendish looking better? It looks to me like he's having one of those days. I mean, look, he's radio out.
No bottles.
No bottles at all. Hanging back off the wheel, not right on the wheel all the time. Head and shoulders dodging back and forward all over the place. Does look like he's a little bit more composed than he was maybe 20 minutes ago. And he also knows, a rider of this status, that he's going to have a TV camera with him all day. And I'm sure that's going to annoy him, but he knows it's going to happen. It's just going to sit there with him all the time. Let's hear from him before the race starts.
Tough one, a really tough one today. A lot of climbing. How are you feeling? And well, are you worried a bit?
Worried, not. I don't say worried, nervous. Yeah, I'm always out for the Tour de France anyway. We should be okay. The Swiss. I think I'm going good enough that, you know, if I'm behind, there'll be a lot of other guys behind as well. So we'll see what happens. It's a race. We don't really think about the race. We just think about what we can do now. There's 2 races within a race. It was today anyway. Tomorrow should be a bit better. But it's the hardest Tour de France start I've ever done, that's for sure.
Well, for sure, he was quite confident this morning. So it's not an overnight sickness. But again, I think he's just maybe not coping with the heat. But a lot of riders are not coping with the heat.
Well, this is a rider who you would not expect to be dropped if he is getting dropped. Stevie Williams of the team of Israel Premier Tech, who is a fantastic climber, is struggling on the slopes, or is he just riding his way back in? That's the question. I would think that this rider will suffer in the heat. He doesn't, he won't be used to the heat. Think about his win in Flèche Wallonne. It was one of the worst days in Flèche Wallonne for a decade, maybe even longer. And he thrived in the freezing cold and the rain. Here, this is not his conditions.
Yeah, that was a full day that day. Because he was feeling weak over the night, he would have said, you know, I have a sore throat and a sore stomach and I can't cope with it. But no, it's physical. If it's from the heat, from the pace of the race, but it's, Champoussin now is dropped from the breakaway.
Since from the break, starting to feel the pace at the back. He was pulling some faces. It's the first big day of heat, isn't it? Or the first few big days of heat.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it takes a lot of time to the body to adapt from those colder months. And sometimes when you're lucky, you get your first heat wave at the Dauphiné or at your training camp, and you got already a couple of efforts done in that heat.
It does test out everything, doesn't it? A lot of these riders who have spent weeks and weeks at altitude. We've talked to riders. I talked to Bob Jungels the other night. He said he spent 6 weeks at altitude. But they're not going to be in heat at altitude. It's all about getting the body ready, isn't it?
So actually, a lot of the teams now do heat camps and prepare the riders to overdress on home trainers and stuff like that, because there's also don't know how new, but there are studies that shows that doing heat training is also stimulates your body in the same way as altitude training. So a lot of riders now are also told to body to sweat and also to do heat adaptation on the home trainer.
This front group. We just saw Rubens. I've seen some photographs, and I didn't know if it was a mock-up or anything like that, of riders sitting in a heat suit on a home trainer. That does actually happen then.
It does happen, yeah. It does happen. Before you used to wear just one extra layer of jersey. Now it's a proper suit. Obviously, it's extremely key to hydrate accordingly, but riders really try and put their bodies